Long ago in colonial Philippines, the Spanish rulers used the word Moro to refer to all inhabitants of Mindanao, Sulu, and Palawan, believing that they all belonged to the Islamic faith. The Spanish initiated the conflict by conquering the Philippines and invading the Moro territory in an effort to subjugate the region to their rule since the 1500s. The efforts of Spaniards to subjugate the Moro homeland resulted in numerous Spanish expeditions to Muslim lands, naval battles, and Muslim raids on territories held by the Spaniards. The first phase of the conflict between the Spaniards and the Muslims in the Philippines began during Legazpi's arrival in 1565 and ended with the Spanish invasions of Brunei in 1578 and 1581. It started with a Spanish expedition to Borneo, a war between Spaniards and the Sultanate of Brunei. The Spaniards captured a Bornean trading vessel in Bohol, killing about 20 Borneans. Furthermore, the Brunei Sultan instigated rebellion against the Spaniards by writing to members of the Bornean aristocracy in Manila and offering his protection and encouraging them to preach Islam. The Spanish governor wrote a letter to the Brunei Sultan telling the Sultan to forbid the Borneans from collecting tribute from natives of Spanish held, for this was the right of the Spanish king as their sovereign. The Spaniards invaded Brunei in 1578 and forced Sultan Seyfur Jalal to flee. In this phase, the Spaniards succeeded in eliminating the Borneans from the archipelago. The second phase of the Moro Wars started when the Spanish government decided to colonize Mindanao. The Spaniards tried to build forts and colonies in Muslim lands. The Sulu Sultans, along with the Pulangi chiefs, paid a fair tribute to the Spaniards. Moreover, in 1587, a conspiracy led by Magat Salamat was planned, but it failed after the plot of the conspiracy was revealed to the Spaniards by a native Christian. After the encounter of the Spaniards with the natives, the Spaniards were impressed by the bravery and gallant determination of the natives. Lastly, forts were built by the Spaniards but were eventually destroyed and abandoned. This phase showed how the conquest of Mindanao was vital to the realization of Spanish objectives in Moluccas. During the early period of this stage, the Spaniards seemed to be winning the competition. However, the Maguindanao and the Zulus tried to decrease the Spaniards' power and control by developing their political system and improving their economic foundation. A dynastic war also ensued between the rulers of Buayan and Maguindanao during the latter years of this phase because the former wanted to rule over Kudarat. Likewise, this period showed how the Dutch started to show interest in buying slaves from the Maguindanaos. Ultimately, as for Kudarat, it would have been unlikely if he didn't strategize in eliminating Pulangi principles and opening new entries for Christianity to Western Mindanao. The fourth phase began with the fortification of Zamboanga in 1635 and ended to its abandonment in 1663. It was led by Governor General Sebastian Hurtado de Corcueras, who planned to defeat and capture Kudarat by putting a Spanish puppet as a ruler in Maguindanao, destroying the quota of Sulu ruler, capturing him, putting strong garrison in Jolo, and then attacking Borneo. Corcuera captured Lamitan in 1637 and ended neighboring towns despite strong defenses. The next year, 600 Spaniards and 1,000 native allies sieged Sulu Sultan's Kota in Jolo. Despite the superb defense, an epidemic forced the Sultan to surrender. Kudarat's gaining strength forced the Spaniards to make a treaty in 1645. In 1655, The peace was broken when the Spanish ambassador was assassinated in his insistence to convert the Sultan. Zamboanga was abandoned, which signifies an interlude of peace for the next 50 years. It can be clearly seen that the so-called Moro Wars, from the coming of Spaniards in 1565 to 1663, passed through at least four identifiable phases. The prominent aspects of the conflict in all stages was that of imperial conquest and Christianization. What is difficult to understand, much less appreciate, is that most of them had come from a country that had experienced centuries of Muslim domination, and yet not to have known much about Islamic temper which this religion engenders.